Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I am just Shani and today we're going to be watching TikTok scary stories. We're back at it again. So this is a new thing I'm going to do. We're going to start doing products of the day. And I know a lot of you always comment on all the products you see and whatever I got or whatever. Like especially on social media, I'll comment on the stuff I have. So the first product of the day is going to be this tapestry because a lot of people have asked about it. The product of the day is going to be linked in the description. It's going to be the first link so you can get what I got. I find a lot of stuff that I absolutely love and I recommend to other people. So I'm going to recommend to you guys so you can go ahead and cop your product of the day.
Shout out to all of those TikTok videos that talk about if you're walking in the woods in Appalachia and you hear something or you see something, no you didn't, because I think that just saved my life last night. Story time. Excuse the garage. I'm at my parents' place and this is the only place my dog is allowed, who plays a crucial role in this story, by the way. He's a very, very good boy and last night proved it. So, my parents don't live in Appalachia, but they do live in an area that's a little more secluded. It's still a suburb, but it's pressed up against these hills with lots of untouched wilderness and coyotes are running through there all the time. It's just a little bit more rural. So I'm sitting in their backyard, which has this tall fence all the way around it, and the wilderness comes right up to that fence. I'm sitting there around the campfire. My dog is laying beside me. I got my laptop open and I'm writing my little stories. Suddenly, my dog lifts his head, stares straight ahead at the fire, doesn't even like look around at the yard, stares straight ahead at the fire and starts to growl. All dog owners know that your dog has different types of barks and growls. This was his warning growl. This is the growl he does when there is danger coming and he's telling it to back away. So immediately I'm like, buddy, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And then I hear a voice at the fence line. And it's not just any voice, it's the voice of a little girl. And it sounds like a creepy doll from a horror movie. It's got that kind of like mechanical quality to it. And it's kind of like muffled and garbled. I'm still getting the heebie-jeebies. And all it does is go, hello? Just like that. Just like that. Hi, just same tone and everything. Now, mind you, it's midnight. There are not going to be any little girls wandering the woods at midnight. So immediately I was like, well, this is either someone who's gonna me, or it's something else. And what made me think it was something else was the fact that the voice said again, hello? Only this time it had moved and it had gotten closer and I'd heard no footsteps. It was just floating closer. And then, mind you, my dog is still growling this entire time. For the next 5 minutes, that voice is just circling the fence line, going, hello, hi, hello, hey. Like, just like that, creepy doll voice floating around the fence line. And then suddenly my dog stopped growling. And he put his head down and he went back to sleep, and the voice stopped. And I thought, okay, cool, that was weird. And then all of a sudden he lifted his head back up again and started growling. And then the sound of a ticking clock came from the bush directly across from me. Again, heard no footsteps, heard no rustling, just a ticking clock started in the middle of the night, in the middle of the woods. So don't know what that was. But if anyone wants to hop in the comments and let me know, that'd be great. Because I can't wait to go home today. And I don't see myself coming back here anytime soon.
And a big shout out to my protector. Yes, big scary boy. First of all, friend, while we still outside, use a brave one. Ain't no freaking way. I'm still gonna be out there with something and saying hello. I'm gonna get the fuck out of Dodge. She's like, what are we doing? Oh, I'm monetized now, you guys. I can't be cussing like a sailor. Okay. Take that back. Okay. We're gonna get the freak out of there. Get the freak out of there, because what are we doing in good dog? Like, that's always been the reason why I wanted to have a dog. Because, you know, they're protectors and everything. They're aware, hyper aware, hyper hearing. They sense stuff. But friend, there's no way I would have been still outside, just out there. My dog let me know what's going on, and you hear stuff coming closer and closer to you, and then ticking of clocks that are non-existing. Nope, nope, nope. No, I would not be outside still. You're brave, honey. You're brave. Cause ain't no way.
All right. So, like a lot of people on this trend, this is not my usual content, but I think it's a cool opportunity for all of us to tell our story, and I thought I would share mine. So, in 2011, I was a camp counselor at a Christian sports camp in Golden, Missouri, and I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. It was just supposed to be a summer job in between semesters, and wow, it actually kind of changed my life. So this camp was broken up into two major demographics. The way they marketed their camp, one of their camps was marketed more towards wealthy white campers, and the other camp, which is the one I worked at, was more geared towards at-risk communities, Black and Latinx individuals, high school kids. And so for me, I felt that that was going to be the most impactful. I didn't really want to have a job that didn't mean anything to me. I wanted to do something bigger than myself. And at the time, I was super immersed in church, and I thought this was a cool opportunity to share my gifts and maybe be a mentor for some of these kids. So historically, some of these campers that get brought in, and they're brought in from all across the country. Some of them have gotten violent. There's been contraband brought in. So we had to have a week of preparation. Just the leaders, the camp counselors, and the directors would prepare the counselors for summer camp. It was broken up into 3 sessions, the camp itself. The training was just a week in May, and there were sessions from June all the way to end of July. So I was the second session and the third session, which was 6 weeks long. During the training, mind you, it was very military style. We would have to wake up at a certain time. We would have to have our cabins completely cleaned before we left. When the campers did come, we were told that we had to have them in straight lines, and they had to sit down. It was just very drill sergeant, which I didn't know it was going to be that. They didn't market it for it to be that. So that was my first surprise. During the training, I was pulled aside and was told by the directors and a couple leaders, hey, David, you fit the body build, and you fit the fact that you don't have any tattoos. We need you to play Jesus in this reenactment that we do called Crosstalk every fourth day. So as they're explaining to me what Crosstalk was, they had a laptop and they opened it up and they showed me scenes of the Passion of the Christ, which I had never seen because I knew it would be too disturbing for me to see. So the fact that they just kind of opened up the laptop and just showed me without my consent was my first big red flag. They walked me through what the reenactment would be like. It didn't seem like I could get hurt. It didn't seem dangerous in any way. And at the time, I was very immersed in my church. I was raised in a Christian household growing up. So, in a way, this felt like an honor to be selected. But that night, and maybe it was a couple nights after, I just felt super uneasy. I remember laying in bed, and the way my bed was, it was bunk bed style cabins in the boondocks. Well, I guess the Ozarks of Golden, Missouri. And so it's easy to get spooked out there at night, but it just felt like someone was watching me. Like the way when I was laying, I could see the screen door to outside, and it just felt like someone was standing there watching me. And that unease continued after the training. And when I got home, I would have these horrible nightmares. I had a nightmare where, and I'll never forget, we were all getting given letters written by Satan, and on the front of the letter, it was a tree. And at the top of the tree was Satan, at the bottom of the tree was God, and on the back of the letter, it was Satan's name written all over it. And as soon as I read the letter, I was instantly back at camp at night, and I could see a building kind of in the distance, and I heard someone coming out of that building. And out loud in my dream, I said, "You know what Satan's doing, but you still let him in." And I just had awful dreams, sort of like that. Just kind of evil type of dreams. One of them, there was blood written above my room that said, "Satan's in your room." So it got to a point where I was like, I need somebody to pray over me. So I had someone from my congregation pray over me. I was around my family. It was about a week and a half until I would go back to Golden, Missouri. So it did kind of settle down after people prayed over me. After I kind of spoke about how uneasy I was feeling, it went away. But then it definitely came back when I got back to the camp. So I got there a day before my 6 week session started, and I was talking to some of the other leaders, trying to get the lay of the land, tips, tricks of the trade, all that. And some of the leaders were saying to me that campers were complaining about shadowy figures standing above their bed at night. And I was like, okay, like, whatever, dude. Like, okay, kids being kids, or like you're just trying to scare me. Didn't think anything of it. So I jumped into my sessions, and the first crosstalk happened, and I was super nervous, and it was a lot more intense than I thought, a lot more intense than the leaders and directors made it seem. And as the weeks progressed, it got more and more violent. Um, I'll never forget, there was one week that the director came up to us backstage and said, "We really need to sell it tonight." And that's when I believe I got a concussion, because I was hit so hard. And the people who were supposed to be the guards in the reenactment, they were bodybuilders, they were ex-football players, they were big dudes. So it was already just, it wasn't right. So as each week passes, we get different groups of kids each week, mind you. So as each week passes, I'm starting to feel just heavier and heavier. Especially around the fourth day, I would be in tears right after having to do this reenactment. I kind of chalked it up to just having spiritual experience. I think it was a lot deeper than that. Um, and so like my mood was very heightened. I felt almost like a veil was being lifted. I say that to say there was this one time, and it was during 4th of July. The camp threw a party, a 4th of July party, and a kid had split his pants. Something stupid. So I had to walk this kid up back to his cabin to make sure that he, changed his pants. We couldn't keep these kids couldn't be alone. That was part of our rules, so they had to be accompanied when certain things like this happen. So I was like, all right, run into the cabin. I'll wait outside. So as we're walking up to the cabin, we hear what sounds like a parade in the distance. We can't see anything, but we hear, to me, it sounded like drums, like percussion. And then it sounded like a chainsaw. And then it sounded like drums again. So I couldn't figure out what that sound was. And as I'm thinking about what that sound was, not too far in front of us was a patch of trees. And we both stop in our tracks because we see this figure, this person walking amongst the trees, walks behind a tree, and disappears, completely disappears. Now, at the time, I was like, okay, there's someone here that shouldn't be here. So I went into the patch of trees to look to see who it was, what was going on, and no one was there. Nobody was there. There was no sign of anybody there. The kid next to me saw it. I saw it. He ran inside, changed his pants, came out, and I told the directors about this. And I described the person. It was someone just, wearing jeans. It seemed like a white man, a older white man, basic looking. And the directors say, yeah, we saw him before. when we were trying to build this place, he came up to us, and part two is coming up. Okay, sorry, part two. So we, I'm telling the director about this person, something apparition, something that I saw, and he goes, "Yeah, when we were building this camp, there was a man who approached us and asked, 'What are you guys doing?' And we said, 'We're building a camp to tell kids about God.' And he goes, 'That's what you think.' And he walked away. And apparently the directors all looked at each other, and then they looked back, and he was gone. And apparently that's the same person, or the person fits the description of what I saw. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. I know what I saw. That kid knows what he saw. That was the only time in my life that I saw something that was as a result of the veil being open. And it didn't stop there. So um, there was a particular week where the campers were super restless and angry and would fight, and there was just this heaviness there that you could feel. And there was one night where I was trying to get campers to sleep. It was late. We had to be up early in the morning. Um, Nothing I was saying was getting through to them. They were just being restless, being kids, being high school kids. So I finally get them to be quiet. I turn off the lights, laying in bed, and I hear David. And I go, "What?" No one says anything. And I'm like, "What?" I'm thinking they're messing with me. Turn on the lights, and they're like, "Oh, you didn't say anything." I'm like, "All right, like, come on, let's stop." Turn off the lights, get back in bed. A couple minutes later, I hear David. And I go, "What?" And I turn on those lights, and the looks on those kids' faces, they were petrified. I believe that none of those kids said my name. They were so scared. They wouldn't let me turn back off the lights. I had to read the Bible for them to go to sleep. They were terrified. I went to sleep. The next day, one of those campers said that they saw a shadowy figure standing above my bed that night. And that is the same thing that one of the leaders told me, one of the other counselors told me, that one of his kids said. And mind you, these are different kids each week. There's no overlap. There's no way word could get spread amongst these campers of this happening. The counselors weren't even there. They had left their session. They weren't even there. So that was very alarming to me. So where this story still continues, and another loop to this journey is, I finished the camp after the 6 weeks, after playing Jesus and getting my ass kicked for 6 weeks. I went back home, talked about it to my family, and like, I still didn't really know how to make of it. They didn't know how to make of my experience. And then I went back to college after that for my junior year. Um, and I always wrestled with that experience. Like, it just wasn't right. There was just some things that just weren't right. Come to find, a couple years ago, so recently, my mom sends me an article about the camp. In the article, the title of the article says the name of the camp, and it says they aren't who they say they are. And in this article are accounts of horrible, horrible SA to previous campers that has happened for years, decades actually. And so reading that and realizing, okay, my experience wasn't right. This camp isn't right. And to have campers experience shadowy figures that, to my knowledge, weren't actually there, standing over beds, is extremely telling, especially finding out what happened at these camps. It's extremely telling that there was a darkness there. No matter if the intent was to tell people about God or what have you, it was a very dark place. And the camp is still going on today. If you're curious about it, maybe I'll make another video talking about the camp, talking more in detail about crosstalk and my experience there. But the camp is very much still alive, and this summer is going to be another summer. And so, say all this to say, I hope that justice is served for the victims, and I hope this place gets burned to the ground.
So let's just apply what we have learned by watching these videos together. One thing we have learned: do your research. Have we not learned that? Like, maybe not? No, we have. We've learned that. Do your research before you go to anywhere that has history. It doesn't matter if it's the first time, like the place is the brand new construction. All this land all this land got history on it. It's been lived on before. It's been here before we've been here. The other lesson we've learned: the creepy old men, the creepy old ghosts. We already know. That is a red flag. Stay away. And also, check your energy. If your energy is off when you go to a place, or certain events happen, or something changes, your energy is off, that's another flag. We need to stay away. We've learned so much now to keep us safe. He talking about when he first said the crosstalk, the first thought I had was, oh, this is not about to be good. And then when he was talking about the movie, I can't remember the name of it. I don't think I've seen it, but I don't think I want to see it because I already know, people in my family seen it, and it's just like, ooh. When you ask about a movie and somebody in your family be like, ooh, like it just got, wind just got knocked out of them, might not be a movie you want to watch. You're going to go through some stuff. Like, might be a little draining on your spirit, on your soul, on your energy. Might not want to watch it. But the moment he said crosstalk, I just had bad thoughts. It was just like, this isn't good, because my first thought was, are they about to put you on a cross? Because that right there is disrespectful. Like, wait a second. And then when he mentioned the movie, I was just like, oh, reenactment. And the fact that they chose you as a black man, because they don't like to admit that Jesus has color, has pigment. They do not like to admit that Jesus was a person of color. They do not like to admit that. So the fact that they came to you, a person of color, talk about, a real admit. Oh, I already knew that was a flag. That was a red flag. It was just like, what they about to do to you, sir? We already talking about this movie. We already know what they did to Jesus in the real story. Now, you talking about this movie that my family member was like, whew, what they about to do? And he was just like, yeah, it seems like he was saying they hit him. I don't even like that. I don't like this for you, Fred. You was young, and you was about that money. I understand. We gotta learn how to say no and listen to that inner voice. Because most of the time, that inner voice is God. A lot of times, a lot of situations, that uneasiness is God. It's trying to tell you something. So yeah, that was crazy. The fact that you and the kids saw what was going on, y'all seen it plain as day. And y'all both... And then you go to the other people in the council, and they're like, yeah, we saw it too. Let's not skip over the fact that when you got there, they was tell you, hey, this is what the campers are seeing. And they was serious, and you thought they was playing. And then with the kids having that uneasiness, like, there were so many signs. And I'm just like, I'm blown that you stayed there the whole entire time. The moment stuff was happening, the moment y'all saw that, whatever that was in the woods, I would have been done. Ain't nobody worth it. But I'm glad you made it out of there safely, and y'all did the right thing. You just went to scripture and just started reading, honey. I'm glad you were there for those kids, because, honey, they was scared. And it didn't seem like you was scared. But I would have been like, We gotta go. I'm glad your family prayed over you. I hope they still continue to pray over you after you got back. I'm mad that the history, like once you found out, it's just all that stuff that was going on. I wish you would have found out before so you could have avoided this, all of that. But I'm glad you got out of there safe. We're praying for those babies because, man, people are just, Subscribe!